Hey, there we go. It's time for change. And I don't mean change in the Trump way. I just mean it's time for change. Too early for that joke? So so the 90s called, they want their application security programs back, guys. And I focus on application security programs because my history and my career has been, in the last, about 8 years now, has been largely focused on mobile and application security spaces. But the points I'm going to bring up in this conversation really apply to any kind of security space that you guys might operate in. Everything from policy to network security to AppSec to any kind of security space. So the cool thing about doing a keynote, and why I'm really, really happy to be doing a keynote, is I don't have to give you answers. I just have to get up here, kind of stir the pot, make everything kind of crazy, get you guys either angry at me or in agreement with me, and then I get to leave. And you guys have to spend the whole rest of this conference trying to figure out if what I said makes any sense in context of the rest of the speakers. So that's what my goal is today. So that's me. June 1980-something, roughly my birthday in 4th grade, so whatever that works out to in age. I'm sitting there hacking on my Commodore 64, my very first computer. The cool things about this particular photo is that my fingers are actually on the home row, which is really kind of weird to actually have correct typing stance in 4th grade. I have my really important dart gun, which is also very, very important. And if you look at the screen up there, there's code on that screen, which is really bizarre for a kid. But that was me, right? That was me in a nutshell. That was me as a kid. To be totally honest with you, my grandmother bought me the computer for my birthday, and she gave me the opportunity of buying an all-terrain vehicle, an ATV, or the computer, and I chose an ATV, but my parents said that I had no place to ride it, so I got the computer. It changed my life forever. Changed my life forever in a good way. So this is Lombard Street. Has anybody in here been to Lombard Street before in San Francisco? It's supposedly the most crookedest street in San Francisco, and essentially that's been my career ever since I got that first computer in 4th grade. I, as a kid, did the traditional hacker, carding, phreaking routine, right? All of the fun things coming up through high school and college, and then went out and did spend some time out in Silicon Valley as a security engineer, and went down that deep technical path, right? Went down that deep technical researcher path, working for companies such as @Stake, Symantec, Veracode, really doing a lot of technical research work. And then one day I kind of flipped it on its head and decided to become a market analyst with Forrester Research, which at the time, there's another keynote speaker this week for you guys, Chris Eng. When I left working with him at Veracode to become a market analyst, he bought me a Darth Vader mask. Because he said I was going to the dark side. So if that gives you any indication of how weird it was for me to kind of flip that career and take this crooked path, and as if being Darth Vader wasn't bad enough, I then became a VP of marketing and joined like the true Sith, right, the evil lords of the world. And that's what I do today. I'm a VP of marketing strategy and partnership for a company called Signal Sciences, which is a web protection platform based in Los Angeles. So what I want to talk to you today is a bit about that journey, okay? It's a bit about going from tech guy to business guy and what I learned switching over to the business side and how we can apply some of those teachings and learnings from the business side to how we actually operate in the tech world. Since we're in social media land and we're in 2016, I actually put my tweets and quotes in orange, so go ahead and take pictures, tweet them, and quote them because it'll help you guys have to not think about how to tweet them later. So the modern business world is completely decentralized and mobile. In a knowledge economy, you have to go where the knowledge is. So one of the things I learned from being in the business world is that you have to follow where the intelligence is, okay? We're in a knowledge economy. We're no longer in a traditional economy where everything funnels through a central choke point of one person who knows everything. Intelligence is distributed. How we operate is distributed. How we work is distributed. This is what work looked like in the 90s, right? Cubicle farms and old computers, and this is just a stock photo, so this is not one that I'm in. But that being said, that was my home office in 1999, right? which is big, thick computers. And I know the resolution's really bad, but I didn't have a great mobile phone back in 1999, so it was like super small, and I had to blow it up for the screen. But as you can see, computers everywhere, and I was advanced. I was cutting edge. I had laptops as opposed to towers everywhere. Although that being said, there is a Sun workstation over here on the right. I don't know if anybody can identify that. And all of these systems connected back to data centers, right? Everything came back through a central point. Everything came back through these fancy data centers run by your company. You connected maybe through a VPN if you were advanced enough to have a VPN. And everything came back and funneled through a specific single environment. They didn't all look like this. More often than not, they looked like this, right? Which was the cable hell that we all had to work in back in those days. But that being said, how's that different from work today? Oh no, my photo's not there. There's supposed to be a photo of my office is in LA there, not sure where it actually disappeared to, probably in conversion from systems. But work today is decentralized, it's mobile, it's collaborative, it's rapid, it's empowered. None of these things were the case 20 years ago. These concepts didn't exist. Okay, everything was slow and centralized, and you went through central authorities. So work has completely changed. But in a hyper-connected world, experience doesn't matter as much as the total sum of wisdom and the speed at which we can get at the answers to our questions. Okay, think about that for a second. It's not about hiring someone who's done it for 20 years. You can get away with hiring someone much cheaper who's done it for 5 to 7 years, but knows how to find the answers quickly. Okay, this is a knowledge world. This is not the traditional centralized world that we used to work in. So let's think about that for a second. The world used to work in what was called experience curves or learning curves, okay? This is something they teach you in business school. And essentially the concept of an experience curve is the more you do something, the cheaper it becomes. So if we think and we look at that graph in the top right, that's Ford's Model T price experience curve. As he started building more Model T Ford cars in higher capacity, faster, in higher quantity, the price per car was able to come down. He learned how to make things better, faster, cheaper. He learned labor efficiency, product redesign, automation, okay? These are the things that used to be important in how we did business. It's not like that anymore. I would argue that it's no longer about the experience curve. Now, don't get me wrong, experience is important. It can help. But what is more important is what I call the collaboration curve. Okay? The collaboration curve is actually a network effect of humans. Okay? As you add more humans to your work environment, they can collaborate together and get at data and answers to questions faster than ever before. Okay? It's allowing the business world to move at an extreme rate that we've never seen before. So it's knowledge, engagement, network, and performance all coming together to make work cleaner, smoother, and easier. Okay? It's a decentralization that has caused this curve to overtake the experience curve. So what does that mean with regards to technology, right? I've been babbling on and on about business side stuff, okay? What it means from technology is that the integrations and advancements that we've seen in integration in the last few years are enabling the collaboration curve, okay? Slack is a perfect example of enabling the collaboration curve. It breaks down barriers and silos between all of the different organizations, sub-organizations within your firms. And it allows people to communicate faster, more directly, get at the data they need. Slack, Jira, Datadog, VictorOps, Chef, all of these tools are about communication of data. And that's really what's propelling our businesses faster today than ever before. And that's what's propelling our technology faster today than ever before. So the fundamental theme of integrations is collaboration. So far, we've hit on a couple of points. Decentralization and mobility, and collaboration has changed in how we do work. And what's that give us? Markets and buyers change their mind faster than ever before. Buyers are fickle. People are fickle, okay? So decentralization, mobile, these things have caused speed of change, speed of innovation, and speed of market movements to be drastically faster than ever before. So this is a slide I've used a number of times over the last few years. Hopefully you guys haven't seen it yet. But we're going to play a quick game. Down the left column here are a few things. Telephone, radio, television. I can't really see this, so World Wide Web, Facebook, iPod, AOL, Draw Something, and Angry Birds Space. How long did it take each of these to get to 50 million users? Let's start with the top one. Telephone. Anyone want to shout a guess? How long in years? 40 years is the guess I heard. Not bad. Kind of close. 75. Radio? Come on, people. 38. Television? Quick. 20. There we go. We're getting better. 13 years for television to get to 50 million. The web. 5. Right, you guys are getting it. You see a pattern. Facebook, 3.5. iPods, 3 years. AOL, 2.5 years. How about Draw Something? How long did Draw Something take to get to 50 million users? 6 months. Anybody else? Draw Something, it's a stupid game from a few years back where you actually like draw something and you have to get the other person at the other end of the game to actually guess what you're drawing. Stupid game. That stupid game took 50 days to get to 50 million users. A stupid little drawing game. Angry Birds Space, 35 days to get to 50 million users from the time they released it. What we're seeing is as technology moves forward, things are going way, way faster. So for those of you that have seen me present this slide before, I added something. Not only are things growing faster, but how fast are they stopping? How fast are they dying, okay? So that's the question. How quickly did these fall, and what replaced them, right? The pace of the climb is matching the pace of the eventual fall. So let's take a quick think through this, right? Telephone. I don't have a landline telephone anymore, right? So the concept of a landline telephone anyways is dying or dead. Radio. Does anybody have a radio outside of their car? 2 people raised their hand. 3 people. There you go. Television. I cut the cord 4 years ago, right? I'm streaming everything now, so the basic concept is being replaced there. I intentionally skipped the web and Facebook because I think these two are in that middle phase right now. When they die, they are going to die a horrific death, and it's going to be fast. But right now, they're still living and they're still growing strong, so I've skipped those. iPod. That died real fast when the iPhone came out. The concept of an iPod was just gone. Nobody uses iPods anymore. AOL, well, we all know what happened to AOL. And of course, these last 2 games, I don't know. Does anybody in here have either Draw Something or Angry Birds Space on their phone today? 1 person. It's definitely far short of the 50 million that joined in the first 30 days, right? So the point is, the curves go like this now. Things change so fast. They go from 0 to 100 and 100 to 0 in no time flat. And so when we start to look at that, what does that mean for your business, okay? Well, that means that if you want to do things right in how you're doing your business, how you're building your technology, how you're building your software, you have to do it at the pace of the rest of the world, okay? It's no longer okay to do a 24-month release cycle on a piece of software and be like, here you go, here's your 6 new features from 2 years ago. You'll never sell. Nobody will ever buy it from you. So let's look at a few examples of folks that have embraced this. Etsy, over 50 deploys a day, right? And that was about 3 or 4 years ago when they hit those numbers. Amazon deploys to production on average every 11.6 seconds into their own systems. That's absolutely astonishing. Facebook, minimum of bi-weekly updates, but I would argue it's actually way more than that because my brother actually works there, and I believe he told me they push to production at least 2 to 3 times a day worldwide into Facebook's infrastructure. Adobe, 60% increase in app delivery rate when they added DevOps platforms to their environment. Sony Pictures, they cut down their month-long delivery time to minutes by adding DevOps concepts. And Fidelity, reduced release time from 2 to 3 days to 2 to 3 hours, okay? That's how fast our technology world is going now. That's how fast our business is going now. And security cannot possibly go slow. If security goes slow, security will cease to exist. So there's a term thrown about in business circles called agility, business agility. It refers to distinct qualities that allow an entity to respond rapidly to changes in the internal and external environment without losing momentum or vision. Again, comes down to speed of change, okay? How quickly you can adapt to the situation. But let's talk about that. What does it mean for business and what does it mean for technology, okay? Well, for business, that means when we're doing startups, I sit on the board of a couple different startups, advisors on boards for a couple different startups, and I mentor, gosh, probably a half a dozen at least other young startups in how to build their company quickly, okay? So like I said, I do both the business side and the tech side. And at the end of the day, the first thing every startup has to do is find product market fit, okay? They have to go from having nothing to creating a product that the market wants to buy, and they have to do that fast. To do that, they have to do what we call fail fast and iterate quickly, okay? So what we mean by that is come up with your idea, take it to a potential customer, find out what's wrong with it, throw it away, create a new one, do it again until you get that product market fit. And if you're lucky, you can take off, okay? And this is essentially what we call the lean business model. Even big companies can embrace this model. I started a intrapreneurial venture inside of Veracode a number of years back around the mobile security space, okay? And that was, what it amounts to is a startup company inside of a larger company, right? So there's lots of different ways that this business vision can be achieved. How does the technology world achieve these same exact goals? How does the security space get into a situation where they can find product market fit for their concepts, their technologies, their ideas, okay? That's the way we have to fundamentally be thinking differently as security people, okay? There's a few things that I recommend here. First thing is security people have to embrace change. If you don't embrace change, it's gonna go around you, okay? You can't be a blocker in this environment anymore. And you have to push to production, and you have to push your changes frequently to be able to keep up with the pace of change of the rest of the world that we've seen. Data and visibility is paramount to success. I mentioned before about breaking down silos. The easiest way to break down silos is to provide data across teams, across groups, across function, so that everybody has all data, giving them that collaborative curve effect. And of course, you have to be able to respond quickly. For you guys, almost all of this is achieved with cloud. Almost all of this will be achieved with DevOps. Almost all of this will be achieved with fundamentally changing how you approach security from the heart of what you're doing. So cloud gives you everything as a service, workloads versus processes, rapid prototyping, and minimum viable products, okay? And a lot of these are actually business terms that help companies get better. Well, I have a concept I call minimum viable security. And this is the point at which many security guys actually boo me, and many business/technology folks think it's a really good idea. Minimum viable security is instead of coming and creating technologies, products, processes, and procedures that are super locked down and super secure, instead of like focusing on that end of it, focus on the end of getting business done and adding only the minimum level of security required to meet your needs from a risk perspective. Don't come at it the other way. Don't lock it down and then loosen it up until work gets done, because you're a blocker. You're in the way. And so when you do that, when you come at it from the vantage point of, hey, I'm going to be as wide open as I possibly can, you begin to live on the edge of chaos. And it's scary. It's really freaking scary. Okay, if you're super safe on the left, you die. Okay, you can't get anything done, your business dies. If you're wide open on the right, you're owned, you're hacked, your business dies, right? So there's a balance point. But I would argue instead of coming at it from the side of safety on the left, come at it from the side of chaos on the right and embrace that chaos and be okay with that chaos. So that's a new hashtag everybody needs to use, edge of chaos or edge of security chaos. Yet, security remains static. Nothing's really changed in how we do security, to the point where it's just insane how slowly we're making changes in the security space. Again, here's a point of contention that I have lots of discussions on with people, but the root of all evil in security lies in exactly two locations. Errors in code, that's one, and errors in business processes. That's it. That's all there is. You either can fix the code and fix the problem, or you can fix the process that put the error in the code in the first place, right? So take, for example, SQL injection. SQL injection has been a known attack class for I don't know how long, yet we still aren't anywhere close to fixing the problem. If we can put in input validation into every piece of code we write, we can fix the problem, AKA we fix the code, it fixes the problem. The other way we can fix it is to actually have a process that people use to fix the code the right way. These are the two sides and two pieces of security. So the Verizon DBIR, which everybody is intimately familiar with, shows that percentage and count of attacks that resulted in data breaches, web attacks were 40% of breaches. Web attacks are nothing new. I was a penetration tester starting in 2001, doing web attacks around 2003, breaking SQL injection in 2003. It's been 13 years. Why have we not fixed this problem? It's a big issue. So I'm going to focus the rest of this section on AppSec, okay? But again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, you can apply the ideas, the concepts, the agility, the speed, et cetera, also to network security or to wireless security, et cetera. So let's talk about the traditional AppSec technology stack. Manual assessments, okay? That's where it kind of all began, right? Manual assessments, late 90s. I just picked 3 from my history. I worked for At Stake, which is on this list. Actually, 3 of the 4 keynote speakers you have this week all worked for At Stake back in the late 90s, early 2000s. This is hackers for hire, right? Having hackers break into places. Then we saw innovation around dynamic application security testing, okay? Automated scanners, automating what the humans do and scanning for vulnerabilities. A few big names in that were WebInspect, Spy Dynamics, Sanctum again, early 2000s, right up through about 2004 when Sanctum was acquired by HP or IBM, HP I think. Web application firewalls, okay? Those were kind of new and invented around the mid-2000s, Mod Security 02 and Perva 04 and Capsula 2011, right? Some pretty cool innovation, even though they don't really work, but we could set that aside. And then SAST, right? This was kind of a mid-2000s, the static analysis of software, right? Looking at the source code and looking at the binary code. And these dates are estimates. These are just looking through when companies were formed or when products were released. But the point is there really hasn't been any innovation since about 2006, 2008 timeframe. It's almost a decade of nothing, no change in the AppSec market, in the AppSec space. That really sucks. We've really not done anything different in the last 10 years. We've kind of entered what I call an innovation black hole. So let's talk about why these things fail, okay? Manual assessment. Humans are expensive. They're not cheap. One human is way more than what a typical tool would cost you to run and implement these days. And they're error prone. They're inconsistent. They're slow. Humans in general, when you're talking about a repetitive task, are far from optimal. And so we learned early on during manual penetration testing that pretty much the optimal time frame for any kind of security work from a consultancy was two consultants for 2 weeks. I don't know how many of you are consultants or have heard of that term, but it was 2 guys, 2 weeks, every project. Hey, what do you think? How long is it going to take to break into the president's office? 2 guys, 2 weeks. Everything, 2 guys, 2 weeks. And we did it. We did it for a long time. But it was so inconsistent. We'd do 2 guys, 2 weeks. 6 months later, we'd be brought back to that same place. They say, we fixed all the problems, if they bothered. And we'd say, good, give us 2 guys, 2 weeks, and we'd get in again, okay? It just didn't scale, and it was very expensive. So then the world came up with dynamic application security testing, DAST, as I mentioned before. And they said, okay, if these guys cost a lot of money, and they're really inconsistent in what they find, let's automate them. Let's create tools that automate those humans. Great idea, okay? The problem became that it's a quick and dirty scan that was false negative, false positive prone that dropped a mountain of issues on the desk of the CISO. A binder like this would literally get dropped on the desk of the CISO, and the CISO would be overwhelmed and say, holy smokes, yeah, I'm going to take these first 4 pages, and that's all I care about. So that really didn't work either. It increased the workload of the security analysts within the company, which, sure, it made things a little bit more secure. But again, it ended up costing a lot of money to do it right. And not only that, but multi-step attacks were not possible with dynamic scanners, okay? So I call them business logic attacks, multi-step attacks, where you have to follow a human's logic. You can never get through all the way through the number of steps, so you can never guarantee code coverage. You can never guarantee by pointing a scanner at a web app that it assessed the entire web app. So DAST, okay, whatever. So we said, okay, you know what, we're not going to try to look for flaws, we're going to block them instead, and we're going to put the web application firewall into production. Wow, was that a mistake. Web application firewalls kind of came around because of PCI and because it was a mandated checkbox. Otherwise, that market may not have ever actually taken off and existed because nobody runs a web application firewall in protection mode. They all run it in what we call auditor mode, which basically means it doesn't block anything till the auditor comes in. They flip it into blocking mode for the 10 minutes the auditor's there, and then they turn it back off because it breaks all the things, okay? WAFs broke everything. So nobody used them. They were a big problem, yet it turned into a multi-billion-dollar market because of regulation. So enter SAST, the holy grail, right? The Turing problem. Hey, we're going to look at every bit and byte in your line of code, or every bit and byte in your binary, and we're going to show you every single vulnerability that's in there. As this meme really kind of throws out there, it is a hard problem. It is a really hard problem. So again, it became false negative, false positive prone. Okay, just something that it kind of works. It gives you flaws, but it's really, really hard to do well. And it takes forever, right? So you would feed your entire code base through the engine, and out would pop again a book of things that you had to then handle, many of which weren't real or were incorrect, but it would take 2 days, 4 days, a week to run an entire code base through the detection engine. Well, how does that work when we're talking about speed to market? How does that resolve against 50 pushes a day when you're Etsy, or when you're pushing into production every 11 seconds when you're Amazon? SAST doesn't work anymore. So I stole some data from Forrester, since I used to be a Forrester analyst. I hope they don't mind. This is actually security technology adoption. This report came out a week ago. Actually, I think it came out in the summer. The data's from the summer. The report came out a week ago. In 2013, this were the percentages of enterprises that were interviewed that actually used these technologies. So in 2013, again, remember, we've had almost an 8 to 10 year black hole of innovation. That should be plenty for a market to take off and excel. Roughly 30% use any of these given tools. It's not many, but that was 2013, right? So maybe 2013 to 2016, things got better. Not really. Not really. We had 4% here, 5% there. We're still talking less than a third of enterprises use any of these tools. So problems there, problems not solved, and it's just not fixing. So my friend Rick Holland, who used to work at Forrester, now works at Digital Shadows, he coined a term, expense in depth, which I love. So what do the best enterprises do today? They buy all of these tools, put them into an AppSec stack, and still don't get security. It's expense in depth. It's the multi-layered approach to ensuring minimal return on your investment, which is every CEO's dream, right? Spend a lot of money and get nothing for it. Well, that's essentially what happened in the AppSec space, okay? And so here I am. I've just spent the last 30 minutes disparaging all of the work that you guys do. So where do we go from here, okay? How do we fix the problem, okay? Well, let's go back to the stuff I was talking about at the beginning of the conversation, guys. Let's go back to the business and how the business has shifted underneath us, okay? Security must apply the learnings of modern successful business practices to security programs and processes, okay? And when you apply those learnings, you're going to see why things aren't working today. I don't have answers. I'm not going to tell you, you go back to your offices, click this button, click that button, and you're going to be instantly secure. What I'm trying to get you guys to think is how to switch your mindset and think of things a little bit differently. So we opened with decentralization and mobility. How can we apply that to the AppSec program? How can we apply that to your security programs, okay? Decentralized control. Kind of the dream for application security is for it to kind of disappear, for it to live within every development group. So decentralize your authority. Live on the edge of security chaos. Be okay with, hey, there might be flaws pushed into production. Be okay with that. Figure out how to respond rapidly to that. And decentralize your authority and become security mobile so that every person and every group within your organization is responsible for security. Second piece of business is they want to go fast. With the curve of adoption and crash being so rapid and so steep, if your security doesn't go fast, you will never keep up with the pace of change of your business and technology. So security must increase the speed of decisions and execution. You can't think about your answers. Embrace the edge of chaos and be okay with making that decision, making it quickly, and being okay to fail fast and instantly respond to that failure. Security must provide visibility to all, okay? Don't keep your security data siloed within your security team. Spread it out. This is a photo of one of the Signal Sciences customers actually within their developer bullpen. They've got all this data. They added Signal Sciences carousel, or whatever you want to call these data output screens, to their developer bullpen during their pilot. And it was displaying all sorts of attacks in real time, and it was displaying all sorts of anomaly data in real time. And they went to take it down post-pilot, and the developers threw a fit. They were like, hey, man, we use that information all the time because when we push to production 5-6 times a day, if we see a spike in 500 errors, if we see hackers targeting certain subsections of the application, we can focus our response and we can increase our speed, okay? So what we found was that providing security data to the development team helps everybody. It helps security and it helps the developers become more effective. But you can't just provide them the raw data like this. Okay, people don't have time to look through that. They don't want to dig into the numbers. They need something that's actionable. So that on the right there is some graphs from our tool that we've written. It's a hell of a lot easier to see attacks visually, graphically, okay? And so what you see on the right is spikes and anomalies and attacks on a production web system, okay? That stands out as a problem. Hey, somebody is targeting us with a bunch of attacks that are resulting in anomalies on our web server. That's a lot more easy to understand and read than this. And what we found is when we present our developers with that data, they can make it actionable and make quick decisions and move fast. So security must increase collaboration between individuals and teams, eventually becoming a part of the culture. It's not really about having a security team anymore. If you have a security team in the traditional sense, you're not decentralized. It's about making security invisible. It's about creating security that's embedded right into the hearts of every person in the company. And we've been talking about this. I've been talking about this concept for 20 years. It is hard to do. Okay? You're not going to go home and just flip a switch and make everybody responsible for security. But that should be your underlying theme. That should be your underlying vision for your group, for your firm, and for your enterprise. If you want security, security has to be part of the culture. And you can infuse that culture with rewards. So we take, for example, Etsy as an example. The founders of my company come from Etsy. And what they did to infuse security into their overall culture was give away really cool, funky t-shirts. Anytime somebody found a bug, reported a bug, whether it was security related or not, they got a really cool bug t-shirt. And what that starts to do is it starts to get people outside of the security group and security team thinking about security. That's what they need to be doing. And so at the end of the day, security must embrace life on the edge of chaos. It's not such a horrible place to live after all. I've lived on it for a long time. I kind of like it. And many times it's going to feel like that guy, right? But what's really neat is you're going to feel this way for a long time when you look at it and go, golly, man, I'm letting my engineers push 50 times a day. There is going to be so many bugs in our environment. There's going to be so many hacks attacking. You know what? It's going to feel like this when you let that happen. But in reality, that's the same rock, just from a different angle, okay? Somebody took the picture from a different vantage point, okay? So it's about finding the right vantage point to view your reality. This is a rock, I forget where it's located, but if you take the photo from up above, it looks like you're hanging off of a 3,000-foot cliff, okay? Same photo, same rock, different vantage point. And that's the way I want you to think about security. Take a different vantage point, take a different way of looking at how you do security, hang from the rock, be okay with it, and if you fall, hopefully you're only going to fall a few feet. So it's time to change. Decentralize, mobilize your security program. Go faster. Become an enabler. Say yes, not no. Or at least say, how can we do that for you? Even if it's not an immediate yes, at least consider saying, okay, let's think about how to get there for you. Break down silos, share data, and collaborate, because that's going to infuse the culture for your company. Demystify security data. Knowledge is power. Give your entire company that knowledge. Use the collaboration curve, not the experience curve. At the end of the day, become invisible. Security wins when it ceases to exist. It's kind of like the usual suspects, Kaiser Soze, right? Nobody knew he existed until the very, very end, right? So if you can do that with your security team, that's the ultimate triumph. And embrace life at the edge of security chaos. And that's me. And I wish you all good luck taking some of these thoughts and processes back to your firms. Thank you very much for your time.